was a huge update for Kovaaks, and if you use Kovaaks, you need to be using this feature. Now, for anyone who's ever watched my videos, one thing I always preach is sensitivity manipulation. I've been doing this since I played on console, so let me explain what it is. Sensitivity manipulation is, well, exactly what it sounds like. You manipulate your sensitivity to work on certain weaknesses in your aim, and I experienced this on console because back in the day, all the best players were able to control like a 7 out of 10 on controller, and I always thought like, well, how do I do this? How do they do it? So I went from my 5 sensitivity up to a 10, and I would practice on it all day, every day, and I played for like a few weeks like that, and then by the time I went back down to like a normal 6 or a 7, it felt extremely easy. I felt like I had developed parts of my aim that never existed before, and I transferred this mentality over to PC, and when doing it on PC, I found the same results. For example, when I use a really fast sensitivity like 20 cm per 360, I would be a lot shakier in my aim, but when I used it for a few days in a row or for a few weeks, by the time I switched back to a normal sensitivity, it felt easy. The shakiness in my aim got better, and I was able to control that sensitivity with much more ease than before. And with low sensitivity, for example 80 centimeters per 360, it forced me to use my wrist, my arm, and my fingertips all at once in my aim. It also helped me use different parts of my mouse pad that I wasn't used to. But now on Kovaaks, they finally released something that I used to have to use a separate program to do, and it's sensitivity randomizer. Now, there are tons of uses for a sensitivity randomizer, but if you've ever plateaued in your aim and you just can't get any better, especially for tracking maps, you need to use this. But before we get into how to use it, why should you use it? One big reason why I always used it was because it helped me break tons of plateaus, and it forced me to always actively aim. Because if your sensitivity is always changing, you have to fully dial in your hand-eye coordination. Some people talk about muscle memory and things like that with aiming, but with a sensitivity randomizer, you can't have any kind of muscle memory. It's always seeing where your crosshair is, seeing where the target is, and moving accordingly. A lot of people, whenever they aim train, they kind of just start autopiloting. They use the same sensitivity forever, never develop other parts of their aim, and then the parts of their aim that they never trained completely limits them, and they're never able to improve. And that's also why a lot of people don't even realize what their issue is, because they've never stepped out of their comfort zone to find out. But with this sensitivity randomizer, you don't even need to do that. If you set the range big enough, you'll train all ranges of sensitivity at the same time. Now, here's how you can set it up. Once you go into Kovaaks, at the top is the settings tab. You click on it, and then you hit the drop down right next to sensitivity. In this drop down, you can enter your DPI, you can enter your sensitivity, your game of choice, and then make sure that you have vertical and horizontal sensitivity locked together. Then you turn on sensitivity randomizer and you go down to here. Now, if I were you, I would experiment with this, and depending on your DPI, it'll change how much it randomizes. For example, doubling a sensitivity at 800 DPI is technically quadrupling a sensitivity at 1600 DPI. A baseline for most people, I would say, is a 0.5 minimum multiplier and a 2x maximum multiplier. This will make it so the sensitivity you're playing on gets halved while you're playing and doubled while you're playing. As for the transition type, I prefer a smooth transition, but these last two options are completely preference. I wouldn't set your change interval to too high of an interval, but I also wouldn't set it too low. Now, one common question I always get about sensitivity randomizers is how long should I use it? I usually do a sensitivity randomizer once or twice a week, depending on how plateaued my aim is. If in a week's time I can't break certain scores or I can't get past a certain hill I'm stuck on, then I'll use it for a few days. But if I'm steadily improving while aim training, I don't touch it at all. If you guys are interested, these are the current settings I'm messing with right now, but these are definitely subject to change. Anyways, click on this video to get insane aim by 2025 and this one for my coaching. Have a good one, everyone. God bless you.